Hey everybody, this is Chris. Welcome back playing Banished. This is episode 2. This is a completely new town as opposed to my first video, which was an epic fail. It was very informative, I'm sure, but I learned a lot and I put all that new knowledge towards this town. So here I am just kind of making some selections and then the inevitable loading screen. So yeah, well here we are. I don't know. I don't remember counting how many adults I had on the last start, but it seemed like I had a lot less this time. I think it was like 18 or something, which I never counted the first. I never counted when I started the other game, so I'm not really sure whether or not it's a random seed as to how many people you get, which is that'd be interesting too because it would make every game different because you have different issues to start with as to far as what production you want to run and where you want to focus your people, because you can't do everything at first all at once. So you have to kind of take just you have to look strategically at it and say, hey, I guess I can put these farmers towards farming in the spring and summer and autumn, and then dump them all off to do something else in the winter. And obviously you won't be farming in the winter, so it's not a bad plan at all. And so I'm just gonna set up the houses first, and like I had said in the last video, I had done the stone houses to start off with, and I don't think those are necessary. I think that's a waste. I'm cleaning my glasses as I'm talking. I think that's a waste of stone, seeing how stone is probably the most rare of the three between iron, wood, and stone. I think that is the rarest of the minerals. So it's good to utilize stone only when you really need to. And as far as housing, it's really not required. The regular houses use stone anyway, but they don't use as much. The wood houses don't use as much, and I wouldn't even suggest using the bunk houses. I haven't used them yet, but I guess if you're on like a small island or a small map that doesn't have a lot of room, and you don't really have a good way to stretch the city around, I guess bunkhouses could be okay, but I wouldn't imagine that they'd keep people happy because they're just not optimal living spaces. Again, I guess it's up to you, and it depends on the situation. I don't know. I guess if maybe there's a fire or something and you need to put people up in a house before the winter, that might be the time. I can't remember, and I didn't catch it when I started this video, but I don't remember if I put disasters on. But I guess fire is a disaster that could happen because it allows you to build a well, and it says the well is used for putting out fires. So that could cause a problem if it swept through the housing area of your town, and the winter was coming. You needed some place to put these people. A bunkhouse would have to work. I mean, that would be the only way to maybe keep some people alive. At the first available opportunity, you could start building, regular houses again. But I don't know. I guess that's why they're there, because I can't see any other reason to use them anyway. So we'll just set up we got our field here. We're taking out some of this iron ore, get it out of the way. You see, I set up my road network kind of how I want it, and I just do the dirt paths for now. You can always come back later if you have a good supply of stone. You can redo them. People will they'll move fast on the dirt, and then they'll move faster on the stone. So obviously that's more efficient. If you want to do it that way, you can. Early game, you probably don't want to use the stone on that. You'd be better served to save it, use it for building, the constructions of buildings. And like I said, because it's a rarer of the three resources, I utilize that as efficiently as possible. I am setting up a road here, and that goes further out. What I want to do is I'm going to cut up right through that ore patch that's just to the northeast of my town. And right in that area at the top where there's kind of an open area, what I'm going to end up doing is putting a forester, a hunter cabin, and a gathering and herbalist buildings, so they need full woods in order to work most efficiently, and I'll put them there. So that forester will plant trees, and this area will be completely engrossed in trees by the close to the end of this video, as you'll see. I got the big field there, got the fisherman's wharf, and we'll just throw in a couple other things, and we'll get this town moving. As you can see, my health is high and the happiness is high as well. And what I'm doing right here is I'm going to make that stockade or stockyard bigger. You kind of want it as big as you can get it, and sometimes you might want a couple of them. As you can see, there's tons of iron on this map, and that storage area is completely full with iron. So I need another one no matter what, and you make them as big as you can. You'll definitely benefit from that. So it's a good idea. So we're just gonna throw a couple more buildings out, and you can see this building here has a yellow ring around it, and that means that building is used for everything. That building's access area, or where it can access it's whatever it's doing. Say for instance, if it's a gatherer, it'll gather. They'll send out gatherers anywhere in that radius. If it's the forester, he'll plant trees anywhere within that radius. So you can kind of get an idea of what is the area of operation for that building, and then you can put it in a place where it's not maybe filled up by mountains or water, so you can use that full radius as much as possible for whatever you're doing. So I'm just going to put build these here, and you can see I got to group them there. Then those all work together, or they work benefiting from each other, mostly benefiting from that forester because he's going to keep planting the forest. The next things we're going to put up are the tailor and the blacksmith. Now, the tailor takes the leather from the hunting cabin, and that gets stored in the barn. It takes the leather, or if you have sheep, it'll take the wool from the sheep and turn it into clothing or jackets or whatever it is, and that helps people through the winter. It keeps them from getting cold, or it slows down them getting cold when they're out and about doing their daily activities. So that could keep them alive in the long run. It'll keep them healthy, and you can actually get a good amount of money from them, or they're valuable in trade. The coats are when you start trading with the trade post. And the blacksmith makes tools, and people need tools to do their jobs, whether it's harvesting the farm, or rocks or iron, or cutting down trees. So they need those tools in order to do their job effectively. And if you get coal, you can actually mix it with the iron, and you can make steel tools. I haven't done that yet. I don't know if maybe they work better. I guess it would make sense that they last longer during the operation of them. So that's something that maybe in the future, and mid-game or something, it becomes more important. Like I said, I really haven't had to deal with it now, and coal is pretty expensive to trade for. I don't think that you can actually get coal as a resource by harvesting or mining it. I don't think you can. I'm not 100% on that, so as I continue to play the game, I will find out, I'm sure, whether or not these are accessible resources that maybe just have to be found, or you could find it another way, maybe by burning trees. I don't know. A million things could happen. I just don't know, and I'm too lazy to read the instructions or anything like that. But I know it wasn't in the tutorial, so I guess it's probably not something that you need to consider. It's probably taken out of your hands in the game and just put into the trade system, so that you don't have to deal with another resource storing it or whatever. So that's where we are right now, and as we continue on, we'll add structures, add houses, add the town hall and stuff like that. Now here's a good example of that ring of activity around that or those structures, and you can see that the trees have really started to fill in that area right to the top right of the screen. That is the area where the tree forester is planting trees. And the trees actually go pretty quick. I'm running in 10 times speed pretty much throughout the entire thing. It just seems like 1, 2, and 5 are very slow. It just takes a while for progress to go. Now, I have 2 fields here, and that was way overkill because shortly, towards the end of this video, I stopped production on the farms, and I had to actually turn off production from the hunting cabin, the fishery, and all that, because I had over 6,000 units of food, and it just wasn't producing anymore. And then the barns filled up. I had to build another barn, which I didn't want to do, but I did anyway. So I don't know. I just didn't feel like wasting the materials to build another barn. So like I said, I stopped as much food production as I could. But they were still like I think I left the gatherer on, and they was still filling up the barn. And even after not doing any food production for a couple winters, actually, I still had over 5,000 units of food left. So it's a good thing they don't spoil, because that would be just such a waste. But that might be something that the developers might want to put in the game. Obviously, you could salt meat, salt fish. You could jar fruits. You could dry fruits. So maybe that could be, another building where it's, making beef jerky or whatever it is for the venison. It's just another aspect to the game that might make it a little bit more challenging. Once I figured out that you got to kind of stay small and then grow into this town, it's actually not that difficult. Like I said, I don't remember if I set up for disasters or not. I do have I do put a well in that little spot there between the new building, that's the town hall on the left, and then the housing units on the right. But, I haven't seen a disaster yet. I don't know if there's other disasters, like maybe the river flooding. I don't know. This is really, feet wet and going through it. But there's a good view of that ring of activity and the trees actually just going out to that ring. You can see now that the town hall is actually up, and there's also a marketplace right there on the right of the screen. That's basically the southeasternmost part of the village or the town. That is where pretty much anything that the village uses or the villagers use is what goes in there. And I'm gonna put that trade port right there. I didn't look. It is connected to a river, but I did not look to see if the river went all the way off map. It does not. I had to demolish that structure, and I built a new one right on the other side, to the north of the northwest, or straight up, right in that area where just north of the fields. I had to put that trade port right there because that river is accessible from off the map. And I did notice just before I had built it right there that a ship did go down, or a boat. It was kind of like a rickshaw. I mean, I don't know, just a really crazy cheap boat with thatch roof and stuff. That actually ended up going down the river, so I knew that I was in the right spot by putting the trade port there. Unfortunately, it was just a waste of material to put it in that lake area, because the river actually looks like it's full, and when you get closer to the outside of the map, either at the top or the bottom, the river just kind of fades away into nothing, and then it becomes like a little dry riverbed. So obviously a boat cannot get down there. I should have looked first, but hey, we all make mistakes and we just learn from them. All right, now I'm going to start to throw down some housing because we are kind of getting full. I want to keep the housing ahead of the population, and that sounds counterintuitive. Well, it sounds like an obvious choice, but I think that families are more apt to move in, or I think it goes by family. So a house that has 4 people in its family, but the house has 6 slots, those 2 slots might not be filled up right away, and someone might consider themselves homeless. So I built a couple extra housing units, and it seemed to, and it could have just been coincidental, but it seemed to allow more people to be birthed, born, conceived, whatever you want to call it. They have to be conceived and then born, but going through birth. Anyway, just I'd like to keep the housing units far ahead of the population. So I mean, even if houses are empty, it's not a big deal because they will fill up as long as your town remains healthy and people remain happy. That's obviously a huge part of the game. Also, if you have open housing, then nomads can come to the town hall and you can accept them into the town, and then they have a place to stay. So that's something to think about. And really, honestly, you're always trying to grow your town anyway. So having some extra housing units, it's gonna happen. You're gonna have to build them no matter what. So you might as well, if you're close to capacity, you might as well throw a couple down, and then you're all set for a couple seasons or a couple months, whatever it is. As I'm hiccuping here. Yeah, so that's about it for there. And obviously, I'm gonna move that trade depot to the other side, which I'm probably figuring I might actually have them transfer stuff into there. That's the other thing. When you have a trade depot, you want to have them bring stuff in that you're gonna trade out. So I was running heavy on iron for a while, so I did drop some iron off into this trade area. Now, when a trader comes, he's gonna need you're going to need to trade back. It's like a barter system. You're going to have to, the value that you're buying from the other person has to be covered by what you're selling him or trading him. And, food units are like 1 or 2 points, and, like fur coats are maybe 50 points or something. You just got to look at how it works out, and then you kind of get it as close to payment as possible. Right now, I'm going to build a graveyard, and what this does is allows the people that have died, they get buried there, and the population can actually go into this cemetery, and they can, visit with their deceased relatives, and it keeps them from getting unhappy due to death. As your population gets more elderly, consider putting one of those down, and you don't want to take a hit to your happiness if you can avoid it. It's pretty cheap to build, so build it. You don't have to build it as big as it goes, because I think that holds like 16 graves, but you're gonna end up with a couple of them throughout your town, throughout the time that you spend. So it's kind of cheap to do, and it keeps you from having a lot of headaches. Now, I don't have any tavern or any brewery. I don't even have a hospital. And as you can see, my hearts and stars are, nearly full, which, unlike my other game, that nearly was empty. Just that herbalist actually just really, really is really important, especially in the beginning in the game when you don't really have a lot of people. You need to utilize them as efficiently as possible. Now here I am going to plop down that trade depot on the other side of the map, right on that river, and then it'll be able to be used. And as you look now, that forest is very full. It is just about completely grown in. I'm going to put a road here. Now, I decided to make a bridge in, pretty much every direction. And the reason I did this was because I ran out of stone on this little part of, this island in between the two rivers. And I almost was not able to build a bridge to the place where I had more stone. So I just managed to scrape one out, and that bridge was to that area to the south. You can see the bridge there. And, I harvested all the stone on that side of the bridge, on the south side of the bridge. And then I decided that it would be a good idea to build the bridge to the other side. Now, I don't know if I can build across that river, and I don't know if I want to. I don't know if a boat can access that if you go. Because the bridge, if you look at it, it's not very tall. Maybe if it goes over that wider, more pronounced river, it might be taller. You can also tunnel, and I haven't done that yet. I would imagine that if you play it, this map is both basically valleys and hills. There is a setting that you could do mountains, so that might be, and obviously that would be a little bit more challenging, but that might be why the tunnels are more, why they're important. Because I just can't find, I don't see a use for them in this map, because the hills aren't that steep. So I mean, and if they are, the ones that you're looking at, they're at the edge of the map anyway. So I mean, you know, I don't know. One cool thing would be like if it was in SimCity, if maybe your towns could have interconnectability across like a global map. That would be kind of cool. You know, maybe a trade network could be established, or who knows. But you know, I think there's a lot of potential into the game. I don't know if the developers plan on expanding it at all, or maybe DLC content. I don't know. It just, at this point, the only thing really I have left to do is plop houses and grow the population, because with those two fields I have enough. I have more than enough food. I could trade most of it away and still have plenty. So I don't know if this is end game or not. Obviously, you can always grow the population. With the population growth, infrastructure would have to be expanded as well. I'm sure with more people, it becomes more necessary to have a hospital and you know, maybe a church. But in this part of the game, I just don't see the need for them right now, and they only take up valuable laborers. So I mean, I have a school, because I think people are more effective when they're educated at their job. So I put down a school. I have the town hall. I have the cemetery. Now those are the you know, the public civic structures. There's also a church and a hospital, and I think I built a hospital towards the end of this video. I'm not sure though. This is nearing the end. I wanted to keep it under 30 minutes. I'll be about 24 minutes in. But again, I just wanted to give you an idea of what it looks like now. All my storage facilities are just about full, or at least my food storage facilities are full. So I'm going to have to build another barn and manage things that way. And like I said, I haven't used the field in a couple years, as according to game time. So I have plenty of food, and you know, that bridge is being built, so we'll be able to access resources on that side. And I guess I'll have to figure out whether I can go across that river there. But that is about it. Check out my other games, my other videos. Please like, subscribe, comment, and you know, be safe and merry.